Hello there, people of the internet. So I am astonished at just how many people wholeheartedly seem to hate the kinds of ammunition that I decide to use. What is this? There's brass on the ground. Hell yeah, I'm going to reload that later. But I'm astonished at just how many people foam at the mouth and get heatedly upset at the kinds of ammunition that I decide to use. And I actually made a video talking about the kinds of ammunition that I enjoy using, and this was a little while ago on the YouTube channel. But I've had quite a few elderly gentlemen get with me and talk about how they have an extreme dislike with my choices of ammunition. Normally, whenever I'm out here running rounds on the range, I'll pick the cheapest bottom of the barrel stuff that I could possibly find. I'll literally go to AmmoSeek or someplace like that, and I'll just type in what I need. And I'll find whatever has the lowest, cent per round count and whatever has the lowest shipping, and I'll combine those prices, and that is typically what I'll get. For example, my 45 ACP, this is just cheapo ball ammunition. This stuff right here normally runs 30 cents a round or so. This is the bottom of the barrel stuff that I run in this 1911 whenever I run it here on the channel. But in the event that I am using something for practical purposes, then I absolutely understand why people would not want me to use my cheapo ammunition. If I were to actually have this 1911 out for any kind of practical purpose, I know for a fact that this Winchester hollow point ammunition is quite effective. It expands very, very well, and it runs reliably out of this 1911. I know that because I've ran quite a few of this stuff out of this 1911 just to go ahead and test functionality. This is a pretty damn decent quality ammunition, but it's also not the cheapest ammunition that I could find. So whenever I am talking about using something for a practical purpose, if I were to take this out camping or hunting or use it as a CCW or use it for a defensive role or insert XYZ situation here, I probably wouldn't rock the cheapest possible stuff that I could find. As a matter of fact, this batch of ball ammunition that I have loaded in this 1911 is not that great, and this 1911 has malfunctioned several times as a result. Well, whenever I run this stuff through it, which is just a little bit hotter stuff than that cheapo ball ammunition that I have there, this stuff runs incredibly reliably through this 1911, despite being a hollow point. Just the way that the curvature is of the bullet itself, this stuff runs incredibly reliably in this 1911, but it's not as cheap. So you don't see me running a whole lot of stuff on this, a whole lot of this stuff on the channel. I have ran this stuff a couple of times on the channel, but for the most part I stick with the cheap stuff because me running rounds here on the channel, or me plinking at the gun range, or me doing XYZ insert situation here, I am not betting my life on using that firearm for a practical purpose. As a result, it doesn't matter if I have a malfunction, or it doesn't matter if my ammunition isn't as accurate as it could be if I were to use a higher quality ammunition. I mean, you guys have seen me miss rounds down on target depending on what it is that I'm using. And a lot of that has to do with just the poor quality ammunition that I use. And that's because whenever I'm out here making these videos, it doesn't matter. The point of me coming out here is to send rounds downrange, potentially hit a target, and talk about whatever topic it is that we're talking about. I don't need that stuff to work 110% of the time. And since I have such a volume of content that I'm making, I'm sure you guys have noticed that I've been trying to upload every day. It doesn't always work out, but I try to upload at least once a day. And that volume of content, the price of the ammunition adds up rapidly. So as a result, get the less quality, less reliable ammunition to be able to make my videos, send rounds downrange, do the things that I have to do, even though it's not going to be as accurate or as reliable. I'm not, like I said, I'm not betting my life on it. This is just me having fun at the range. And as a result, I can afford to have a malfunction or two, or I could afford to not have to spend all of my money on things that are going to, put a dime-sized group at 100 yards. I mean, the cheap stuff, this steel case tool ammo, this is 7.62 by 54 rim that I just so happen to have in my pocket here. This out of my Mosins is about 6 MOA ammunition, with some exceptions. Out of my M44 and my 1891, those two particular Mosin Nagant rifles, this stuff right here tends to fire more around the 3 MOA mark, but I have some higher quality brass case PPU reloadable ammunition, some reloadable 7.62 by 54 rimmed that I use in those Mosins whenever I have to achieve accuracy. And with those right there, I can get like 1 to 1.5 groups. As a matter of fact, I've literally done that on this channel. I can get some very impressive groups with that particular brass case ammunition. However, it's about 2 to 3 times the cost of this ammunition. And if I'm just going to grab my rifle and come out to the range and be like, hey, look at me, this is my Mosin, and today we're going to talk about this in this situation. All right, let's shoot the steel at 35 yards and see what happens. And like, I don't need the most precise, exact, high-end ammunition to be able to pull that off. Now, like I said, if I'm using it for practicality and I'm using it for, you know, a situation where accuracy and reliability counts, then that is whenever I would start to come to the conclusion, all right, yes, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I have some decent quality ammunition to be able to handle a situation if I find myself in a situation that I have to handle. And I do. I have my good quality ammunition set aside, and I spend my time and money and effort and whatnot on this lesser quality ammunition for the sake of content creation, simply because I run through that ammo instead of running through my more expensive stuff, which I keep on the wayside in the event that something happens that I need. This is a really good example. This right here is my Car 98s. This here is 1944 production. There's this one, right? Yeah, 1944 production and 8mm Mauser. And well, right now there's a lot of this Turkish ammunition on the market, and I will run some of this Turkish ammunition through this rifle. And whenever I talk about this Turkish stuff, I get like several comments down below talking about how it's inaccurate and how it is overpressured, and you know, how they just hate things that are made by the Turkish, and how they don't like the lack of quality control, and just insert hate for this ammunition down below. And that's the one thing that these people focus on, not necessarily the video itself. And I'm like, guys, all I'm doing, hell, in this case, all I'm doing is I'm going to shoot that bowling pin at 20 yards, and this Turkish round is absolutely going to be fine for that. That poor bowling pin exploded. You know what? Let's go ahead and go for the water, see a splash. Ah, that was fun. This 155 grain Turkish stuff travels at around 3,000 feet per second. As a matter of fact, I have some fun equipment coming, so we'll be able to do some tests with this stuff. This stuff right here is one of the cheaper 8mm Mauser rounds on the market, but it is substantially less quality than some of the other 8mm Mauser rounds. Like if I were to get some Yugoslavian 8mm Mauser, or some Greek 8mm Mauser, or some other kinds of surplus ammunition that is just a better quality than this Turkish stuff, you know, it's more accurate, it burns more consistently, it's not with degraded powder, so it doesn't have the higher pressures that this stuff right here has. As a matter of fact, I'm sure somebody's gonna go typing in the comments, they're gonna talk about how this stuff is loaded to the specs that original German ammo was, and you know, there's no powder degradation at all. I'm running some tests on that, future video incoming. But I'll get a whole bunch of people who go down below and they'll be complaining about the kinds of ammunition that I'm using, despite the fact that, you know, it is absolutely more than capable for the things that we're doing. And honestly, I'm not all that. Is that, what am I looking at? Is that a spine? There's a piece of a spine on the ground. Huh. Well, so there's a lot of people that tell me to get some backbone. Here you go. I guess I got some backbone there. But there's a lot of people out there who give me a lot of hate based off of my ammo choices because it's not the most high-end kind of ammunition that is on the market. And I can understand that if I were to like have some stuff for practical purposes. Like for example, my AR rifles, for the most part, whenever I'm out here running my ARs, I'll use like the cheap tool ammo steel case stuff. As a matter of fact, this is, that's 7.62 by 54 rimmed. I thought I saw some 223 on the ground. Some steel case 223. Are you? No, that's also 7.62 by 54 rimmed. Anyway, I'll be out here and I'll be running like the cheap steel case stuff. It has probably about 3 MOA or so, if that, depending on which rifle I'm using it from. I know some of my AR platforms that I have, it'll have more like 6 MOA, but then I'll swap over to a better, you know, brass case, actual spec ammunition, and I'll get much, much better accuracy out of that. And so I have some brass case ammunition on standby, that and that would be my go-to ammunition. But for the most part, I choose to use the Steelcase 223. Although it's less reliable and it burns a little bit dirtier and it's less accurate, it's plenty for the YouTube videos that I'm making, and it's plenty for the job that I'm putting it through, especially at the price point that I'm paying. Now, down the road, if something does happen, I will absolutely be using higher quality brass case ammunition if we find ourselves in a situation where accuracy matters, every shot matters, reliability matters. You know, you're using that stuff to protect your life. You're now using it for a practical sense as a practical tool. Whenever that becomes the case, then yes, absolutely, ammunition quality 110% matters. But the amount of people who just hate the fact that I'm using this poor quality ammunition in a at-home private setting, I'm astonished. I'm astonished at just how many people like foam at the mouth over it. And it surprises me. It always surprises me whenever I make videos, and that's what people hyperfixate on. Anyway, folks, appreciate your time. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are down below. I'm willing to bet. Normally, whenever I make videos like this, talking about controversial things like this, I'll get like 50-50 opinions in the comment, like 50% are for it, 50% are against it. I'm sure I'll get some people down there who talk about, yes, the best quality ammunition that you could possibly find, go out and get it. I don't care if it costs you an arm and a leg, stop being so poor. And then you'll get the people who are like, man, Steelcase 223, even though it's 3 MOA at 100 yards, that's still adequate enough to be able to handle most practical situations. And at the price point, you can't beat it. You can stockpile a lot of that stuff for the same amount of money that you stockpile a better quality ammunition. And like just the division based off of people's opinions is mind-boggling. And personally, I feel like it depends on the situation. Here in the state of Florida, Steelcase is not something that you want for long-term storage. It's not something that you want for long-term situations. Like, it's not something that you would want simply because here in Florida things are incredibly humid. And with steel, those Steelcase ammunition, unless you're getting like lacquered ones or something like that, and even then, they tend to rust, and you can't exactly oil them to stop them from rusting, because then the gunpowder will get compromised with oil and it won't reliably ignite. So, storage of the Steelcase ammunition can be a little on the sketchy side here in Florida, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of lean more towards brass for survivalist situations. As a matter of fact, I might make a video based off of exactly that. Not only that, but brass is reloadable, and steel, although it is reloadable, is not as easily reloaded as brass. So thanks for watching, folks. I don't know if I did the outro or not, so I'm just gonna say have a nice day. I'll see y'all on the next episode.
Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garrett. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.